The reason why women regret losing a good man is because she realizes that she was actually the problem, but her immaturity blinded her from actually seeing that and loving him correctly.
What happens when technology becomes so advanced that it starts replacing human connection entirely? A woman recently had a complete emotional breakdown after discovering that more men are choosing artificial intelligence companions over real relationships. Her reaction might shock you, but it reveals something much deeper about where we're heading as a society. Picture this scenario. You wake up one morning and discover that thousands of men in your city have decided they'd rather spend their time and money on robot companions than date real women. These aren't just simple toys we're talking about. These are sophisticated artificial beings that can hold conversations, remember your preferences, and never disagree with you. They're programmed to be the perfect partner, minus all those messy human emotions and needs. This is exactly what's happening right now in Berlin, Germany, where something called cyber brothels have opened their doors. For anywhere between 80 to 120 euros per hour, men can rent time with highly realistic artificial companions. These establishments aren't hiding in back alleys either. They're operating openly, advertising their services, and apparently, business is booming. The technology behind these companions is genuinely impressive from a technical standpoint. Companies are creating robots with incredibly realistic skin textures, facial expressions that can convey different emotions, and artificial intelligence systems that can engage in complex conversations. Some of these robots can speak multiple languages, remember personal details about their users, and even be customized to look like specific people. The price tag reflects this sophistication, with some models costing upwards of $150,000. But here's where things get interesting and honestly pretty concerning. Users can request specific modifications to these artificial companions. They can ask for them to be prepared with fake injuries, covered in artificial blood, or programmed to respond in ways that would be completely unacceptable with a real person. The establishments apparently fulfill these requests without asking any questions, creating an environment where some very disturbing fantasies can be acted out without consequences. When confronted with this reality, one woman's response was immediate and visceral. She couldn't understand how men could choose artificial companions over real relationships. Her emotional breakdown highlighted a fear that many people are starting to feel. If technology can provide companionship without any of the challenges that come with real human connection, what happens to actual relationships? The statistics surrounding this trend are eye-opening. Recent surveys suggest that roughly 20% of men who are currently in relationships have either tried artificial intelligence companionship or are seriously considering it. That's 1 in 5 men who apparently find the idea of a programmable partner appealing enough to explore, even while they're already with someone real.
You go work out regularly for 6 months, 5, 6, 7 days a week, looking savage. You eat right. You develop those abs. And as you develop those abs, you tell me that your anxiety and depression don't just magically go away.
The appeal seems to center around control and convenience. These artificial companions don't have bad days. They don't disagree with your opinions. They don't have their own needs or desires that might conflict with yours, and they're available whenever you want them. They represent the ultimate fantasy of a relationship without any of the work, compromise, or emotional growth that real partnerships require. Mobile applications have made this technology even more accessible. The top artificial intelligence companion apps have collectively been downloaded over 100 million times just in the past year. Users can create virtual girlfriends, customize their appearance down to the smallest details, and engage in increasingly realistic conversations and scenarios. Some of these apps are free to download, making them accessible to teenagers and young adults who are forming their first ideas about what relationships should look like. This accessibility raises serious questions about the impact on developing minds. If young men grow up believing that ideal companionship means complete control over another being, how will they handle real relationships where compromise and mutual respect are essential? The concern isn't just theoretical either. Screenshots of users engaging in abusive behavior toward their artificial companions are being shared online, sometimes as competitions to see who can devise the most disturbing scenarios. The woman's emotional reaction becomes more understandable when viewed through this lens. She's not just competing with other women for male attention anymore. She's competing with technology that promises men everything they want without requiring them to grow, change, or consider another person's needs. It's an impossible competition because no real person can match the perfect compliance of a programmed companion. Germany's situation might be extreme, but it's not unique. One German man interviewed about dating culture in his country explained that he'd rather remain alone forever than deal with the complexities of modern relationships. He wasn't joking either. He described the peace and freedom of solitude as preferable to the potential conflicts and compromises that come with partnership. When asked about attractive women trying to connect with him, his response was simply that he'd rather die alone than give up his independence. This attitude reflects a broader trend where both men and women are finding human connection increasingly difficult to navigate. Dating standards have become unrealistic on both sides. Women often demand certain physical attributes, financial status, or personality traits that eliminate most potential partners. Men, feeling rejected or inadequate, are turning to alternatives that don't require them to meet anyone's standards except their own.
I want some picture perfect man who never screwed up. Give me the one who's made a mess of things. The one who's been dragged through the dirt, called names, and counted out. Still got up anyway.
The technology is advancing rapidly, while our understanding of its psychological and social impact lags behind. These artificial companions are becoming more sophisticated every year. They're learning to recognize emotions, respond appropriately to different moods, and even predict what their users want before being asked. Some experts predict that within the next decade, the technology will be so advanced that distinguishing between artificial and human companionship will become genuinely difficult. This progression toward artificial relationships represents more than just technological advancement. It symbolizes a retreat from the messy, unpredictable, but ultimately rewarding experience of connecting with another human being. Real relationships require vulnerability, patience, communication skills, and the ability to see beyond your own immediate desires. They force us to grow as people, to develop empathy, and to learn how to love someone even when they're difficult or different from us. The woman's breakdown wasn't really about competition with robots. It was about recognizing that we're creating a world where human connection is being treated as optional, where the challenging but beautiful work of building real relationships is being abandoned in favor of the easy satisfaction of artificial alternatives. Her tears represented a grief for something essential that we might be losing without fully understanding what we're giving up. So what's the solution? Perhaps it starts with honest conversations about why these artificial alternatives are becoming so appealing. Instead of dismissing the technology or the people who use it, we need to understand what real needs aren't being met in traditional relationship structures. We need to address the unrealistic standards, poor communication skills, and emotional unavailability that are driving people away from human connection in the first place. And that's all for today. Tell us what you think in the comment section, like this video, and don't forget to stay tuned to the channel by subscribing.